Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Webisode. Today we have with us amazing Asadullah Chaudhry. Before moving ahead, I would like to thank Asadullah Chaudhry. He has been one of my mentors, and he is one of the best people in Pakistan when it comes to program and project management. So, sir, welcome to Webisode.
Thank you, Amer.
Okay. Before moving forward, let me just give you a brief introduction of Asadullah Chaudhry. Asadullah Chaudhry is an Oxford graduate, master from Stanford University, and a long-term program and PMP practitioner. He currently runs a project-focused consultancy and training company by the name of AUC Limited, an innovative company. He has coached more than a score of organizations. He has also trained more than 10,000 PMP professionals. Asad possesses a diversified experience in strategic management, portfolio management, change management, information technology, business process redesign, and supply chain management. He has a particular and cherished association with project management. Asad is working with organizations to align strategies with initiatives, portfolio management, project and program management office, that is PMO setups, technology evaluation, project implementation. He has successfully worked on many initiatives, including implementing project management office in Mizan Bank, ERP project implementation for Burke Corporation, ERP project planning, and PMO setup for Pakistan Army. PMO setup for Pakistan Air Force, core banking project implementation, PMO setup for NBP National Bank of Pakistan, PMO setup for Jaffrey Brothers, PMO setup for Kelsoft, and PMO setup for Amiculate. As a facilitator, he has more than 300 international events to his credit in four continents that are Americans, European, African, and Asian. He uses an innovative corporate case study based approach to transform organizational projects. Globally, he has contributed to PMI standards for portfolio management and PMO awareness, which led him to being selected as one of 25 global leaders for Master in Leadership program. You can find him at social networks like LinkedIn and Facebook. He's very easily accessible. So, sir, such a huge introduction. I can go on that introduction. But we would love to know something from your side. Sir, can you please share us your journey?
You see, as far as my journey is concerned, I would say my journey is a journey of a transformation. I started my career with a mission that I should, help Pakistanis to grow into technology. So I did initially back in 2001 Java trainings, and especially I introduced Microsoft .NET in Pakistan. I am world early achiever of Microsoft .NET, and I have trained more than 25,000 people on .NET in Pakistan. And back in 2004, one of my mentors said, I said, out of Pakistan, it's famous that Pakistanis are good worker, but poor project managers. So I took this challenge back in 2004, and I said I will do project management in Pakistan. And since 2004, I never looked back. Uh, if I have to give you that overall journey in 3 words, I would say it's all about uh, you know uh, experiments, innovation, and persistence. So I try a lot of experiments. I was persistent, so that's how I do things. That's simple. So my life journey is very simple. It's if I say into one word, it's transformation. If I have to say into three big areas, it would be how you experiment with you, how you experiment with your career, and more importantly, how much persistent you are. Because if you do experiment means it may go on any other way. So you should be ready for the results of an experiment. Does not mean that if you do experiment and say it should go always in your favor or in your way. So if you are saying that you are experimental, it means you should be persistent of doing more and more experiments, and then you should try some new things, and to be innovative and think that how these things can be work in a different way. So that's how it works.
So I can take these lessons as persistence, being a transformation, and keep on working and keep on trying new things to
Yeah.
become a better person, to become something that you can be proud at the end of the day, to become something that can add value to your life, your country, and this world. This means at the end of the day, you matter. And that's all what human beings strive for, to matter at something, to be at something, to be known for something. And you have done it. So that's great lesson from your side. Sir,
I'm just
now,
trying it. I haven't done anything. I'm trying it.
okay, sir. Sir, if you can go back in time and change anything in your life, anything in your life, what would it be?
I would say back in 2004,
Mm-hmm.
when I started my own company, especially in Lahore, from Lahore. Actually, my first company was established in Lahore,
Okay,
and
right.
after 2 3 years, I went back to my job area, or you can say job-based consulting area. So if I would have stuck there as an entrepreneur, and focus on how to run the business rather than how to do trainings or how to do consultings, so it would have a different impact on me and my social values.
Okay. So you would have changed that thing about you because I really
Yeah, so
like
if I
that.
would have stuck as an entrepreneur, that would be great thing for me.
I really like that you are extremely clear that what you would have changed because I have asked this question to hundreds of professionals and most of them they answered that we would not change anything, and I always disagree with that because if we had a chance to redesign our life, we all know that we could do a better job. But that's the
Yeah,
beauty of life. That's the beauty of life. You cannot change anything. Once you have moved, you have moved. That's it. No going back from that side. Okay. Being said that, sir, this is a very agile time. I would say that at corporate sector they called it as a VUCA time. That things have gone drastically changed. Pandemic is everywhere. What are your thoughts about this effect of COVID-19 on project management? How project management practices will be changed due to this COVID-19?
you see, to be very honest, project management was already in pandemic since 3 years 4 years back. If you closely look how PMI was changing their PM box and how PMI is changing their perception. So I would say for PMI, pandemic was already there back in I would say 2016 or 2015. If you look at the PMI PM box, especially if I talk about PM box till fifth edition, so or you can say from 1969 till 2000, 13 14, PMI was working with the one parameter, one set of perspective, and that perspective was evident in their PM box. They were more towards project management, and the project management which was more towards predictive project management, where you have to plan early and do things. What happened is that when PMI becomes popular all over the world and people wanted to become part of PMI and people want to see how things are moving, then they got to know that there are a lot of issues with PMI. One of the issue, it's not PMI, but when we talk about project management through PMI lens, it says that you have to see your project from the perspective of time, cost, and scope. And this is where area when we talk about the success of project is that we have delivered the project on time, we have delivered the project on within a cost. So that's our success. And this is where lots of researchers, lots of communities came against it, and they said this is a dilemma. They call it you are narrow minded, you are seeing in a tunnel, you are focusing on triple constraint, or you are seeing things from the perspective of iron triangle or whatnot. And interestingly, in PMBOK 5th edition, PMI replied all of them by shutting them all and saying that because we are talking about projects, so projects should success should always be measured against time, cost, and scope. But when you see PMBOK 6th edition and when PMI talks about the success criteria, same heading, same topic, but here PMI stance has changed. PMI says that now our project success criteria does not depend on time, cost, and scope, and now they are more focused on outcome. Even so much so, last year in October, PMI celebrates their 50th anniversary. So when PMI celebrates their 50th anniversary, they specifically mention about outcome. And interestingly, in their logo, they remove the word output. So this is a very significant change, and it says that when you are looking at a project, don't just look at the result, you see how people are using it and what is the variable value you are going to get out of it. So we are already living in an environment where project shifts are already moving on People are calling it a gig economy or a project economy. Or in a gig economy or in a project economy, you cannot just say that I have built a software, now you run it. You cannot say that I have done ABC and now my job is done, which is a traditional project management way. Now people expect you to live with that, go with them, and show the results. So let's suppose that right now I'm working on one of my project, which is basically how we help organizations that they should reboot, restart their organization during and after Corona. So do you think I'm going to tell them that you just implement one project or two project, or you go for ABC stuff, and I would say my work is done and my hands are off, you don't need to pay me? It's not going to happen. Now organization wants us that we should handhold with them. We become their partner, and our mainly fee will not be our services cost. Our mainly fee will be the results cost that they are going to achieve. So if I am going to help them to increase their sales, if I'm going to help them to increase their quality or retain their customer or retain their transaction, so what I will getting out of it is basically from the retention fees, from the increase of sales fees. So this project management is really moved on from output to outcome perspective. And here, unfortunately, thousands of project managers are still stuck in a era where they talked about output or deliverable and they said that things are done.
Okay, this means that now the project management has moved toward the result based organization. That if you get the result, the project is better. We have to stop distinguishing between the project and product, because once the project is done, the project manager has also play a role in the product deployment, in the product working. This means, don't you think the relationship of professional business analysts and project managers will overlap a lot? Because traditionally it was business analyst who did the SWOT analysis, who identified the need, and then he handed over the to project manager to build a project, and from there on, after the project is built, the business analyst roles come back.
You see, there are two things that we need to understand when you say result, because what I find it out in management specifically, and in special social science management, we play with words. Let's suppose if you go and look at about strategy, you will find thousands of different definitions. If you go and you look at the word leadership, you will have lots of definition, and nobody agrees on any definition. Everybody says that it's evolving. Same way, if we talk about the result, what is the result? Let's suppose if I am developing a product for you. Let's suppose CRM. So I'm doing a CRM for you. So my result is that my CRM is deployed, it's working, there are no bugs, its capacity is right, its efficiency is good, and all done. But when I'm handing over it to you, you are not supposed to review its capacity or its quality or its deployment. Your main concern is that how many sales you have done through this CRM. So the result for you and result for me is different. So now what PMI is saying, what project management is saying, that you need to align the result from the stakeholder perspective. Your result is not just from the perspective of the development of a product or providing the services. Now the question that you asked about the business analyst, you see, business analyst has a different role. A business analyst has to go and understand the requirements and to prioritize the stuffs and clarify more items. But when it comes to the project management means that you as a manager is responsible to engage resources, to manage politics, to transform the requirements into the results. And then you see that how people are making decisions. Your business analyst is not going to solve the political issues or the cultural issues or the resource engagement issues or the critical timeline issues or the availability of resources issues. Business analyst is all about that how good scope is and how good scope can relate to their real life. So that's what their job is and how to prioritize it. But beyond the technical work, there are a lot of management work that needs to be done where project manager needs to step in. So there may be a chance, there may be a point where you can say that project manager and business analyst works are aligned, but mainly, it's all about how you are holding responsible, your team to develop the right product and the end user team to use it at its fullest. So these are two titanic shift that is going to happen, and that is part of the project economy. If you go and look at the slogan of our project economy, it says that the project economy needs project manager who has the capability to transform ideas into reality. So when you say idea into reality, so that idea is basically given by someone. So basically the idea is by the client, idea is by the business user, and they want it to be reality. So let's suppose if you are doing a project for a bank, so their reality is that bank deposits should increase, or bank users should increase, or bank customers should retain. If you talk about, let's suppose, a government, let's suppose corona, right now we are having a we are facing corona in government. So what government is doing, they are just doing traditional project management, that we have built 1000 beds, we have communicated to everybody, and we are trying here and there. So it's not about monkey jumping. The point is that what are the results, how you are saying that we have done this thing and the result is this, that. So now I see the failure of a prime minister when it says that in August we will have peak. So what you were doing previously, it means your project management, your management was so weak that you are just focusing on delivering the projects, you are delivering the output. You said we have hospitals, we made hospitals, we made this thing, we announced this thing, and now it's up to you. So this is not the era. The era is, when you say I'm going to do this thing, you say I'm responsible to make it happen. So if you are not responsible to make it happen, then you are not fit for the job, then you are not the person who is fit for project economy. And as I said, project economy was already hit by pandemic, you can say, and it's already there, they already geared up. So that is why we are saying that the companies who traditionally, or I would say the companies who are good in doing operational work, so previously they used to do around 30-20% of their job as a project, and this is going to move on, this is going to shift. Now they will be, or their resources will be focusing more on projects and less on operations. That's what fourth industrial revolution is. That's what artificial intelligence, internet of things, data science is. So the people who used to do a lot of job are not being going to do their doing jobs. This has been automated, or AI, or robotics, whatever. So what you as a project manager, what you as a resource is going to do, you have to do a lot of projects, because you have to be competitive. You have to bring something new into the market so that you can compete with your other competitors. So to compete, you need projects, you need innovation. So if you cannot compete in this era, if you cannot compete with innovation, then you are done. And if you want to compete in this era with innovation, so your project does not talk about only output or deliverable. So your result is not deliverable, your result is outcome.
Your resulted outcome, and the project manager has to be held accountable for the results he plays. He cannot hide behind the triple constant
Yeah.
anymore, that he has to look after. Although in PM book 6th edition they have also added other constants, but it's not the limiting to that constant. We have to move ahead, we have to be held accountable for what we are producing. Since you said it that we have to be an innovative project manager, can you put some light how to become an innovative project manager?
You see, I try to make things simple, and I hate lots of jargons and 2-3 lines definition. For me, innovation means challenge your assumption. So whatever we have achieved as a mankind in this world, whatever stuff you see right now, like we are using StreamYard, we are using laptop, we are using mobile phone, Apple Watch, whatever. They all are innovative products. But how these innovative products come into the market, how they come into being, because someone has challenged the assumption. Someone thinks that the way things are going should not be the way it should be. So they have challenged the assumption on which people are focusing on or thinking onto it. So if you want to become an innovative project manager, you need to learn how to challenge the assumption, how to see things from a different perspective. I could have said think out of the box, but out of the box is a so a sophisticated word which has no meaning, to be very honest. And you go and you see and you learn a lot of things about out of box thinking. But what I talked about is it's again out of the box thinking. But how you become out of the box? To become an out of the box thinker, you need to challenge the assumptions. So if you start challenging the assumption, if you see that people are believing on one thing, organizations are doing things in some specific way, why not we can change their belief? Why not we can change their assumption? Why not we can change their process? So if we start questioning the assumptions and getting their results, or showing results in an incremental way, that's the recipe to become innovative project manager.
Okay, challenge your assumptions, challenge your beliefs, and start working. Because I totally agreed with you. How did we get those assumptions on the first place? How did we got believe on the first place? We have done something which has made to our mind, which have given us experience, so we can change that, we can work on it, and we can improve over it. We have a question from audience. In your opinion, why project managers don't take this responsibility of ownership? They have to get outcomes according to all stakeholders, not just with respect to their organizational deliverable.
You see, Madhya, the right answer I would say is just project manager is not to blame, because when organizations give them the project, they don't give them the right authority even to deliver the project. So when I say project manager is supposed to deliver the outcome, or project manager is supposed to make sure that they are delivering the outcome, when you are talking about project manager, when you're talking about project management at the start of a project, at the start of a project charter, your management, your CEO, your board should understand that what it needs to be to become a outcome oriented project manager, and what authority or responsibility they should deliver it to the project manager. If you are not delivering them or providing them the right authority, right set of skills, then you cannot ask project manager to be a outcome oriented project manager. So he or she will be managing only based on the output oriented project manager. Number one. Number two, as you don't have authority does not mean you cannot manage it, you cannot look into it. What you can do is, if your project needs to use agile project management, we'll talk about, I believe, later. So you can see that how your incremental results are translating into results, or the results which are important to your end user. So if you basically either you use the phase approach, if your phase approach or it's your agile approach is confirming that what you are producing is translating into the value or the results in the eye of the end user, and then you are upgrading or changing the gear or the stuff or the scope, then you can make it better. But you also need to see the whole perspective from the time or cost way, because sometimes we try to give a lot of things or everything. Sometimes you need to say that everything is not necessary, and we need to limit ourselves into one or two areas, and say that this is what is needed. Go and test and run and see the result. If it is working, then we'll move on to the next thing. So it's not just project management, it's all about mindset, it's all about authority that you are giving, it's all about the culture that you need to build, it's all about the contract types that you need to write it down. Because when you do contracting, everybody talks about fixed price contract, tell me the overall price. So they try to lock you on some specific price, and then they throw you the whole world. You cannot deliver the whole world with a fixed price, and you need to see things in a different way. So here, one of the key things that I would say as a project manager is that how you can say persuasively he works with the business analyst, and they come up with the results that are already been achieved by someone, and they can say that if you can just do these 2-3 steps, or to implement these 2-3-4 steps, and then you see the results, and then see how your company or people are getting value out of it, and then we'll build on it. So that's how we need to work. So and to mind you, not all projects can be delivered through outcome mindset. There will still be projects which needs to be delivered through output mindset. Let's suppose if you are building a housing scheme, or if you are building some plant. So you can just say that we have developed the plant, and now it's your responsibility. If you want us to responsible, then you need to pay us more, and the resources should be reporting to us. So you need to be very careful that what kind of a project you are going to take in, and how you are going to deliver the outcome and output. Doesn't matter if you are delivering outcome, but you need to start from outcome and then deliver the output.
You have to look at the culture, you have to look at the outcome, you have to look at the results, and you have to change the culture in order to have the accountability. A well groomed answered from well groomed project manager. We have another questions from Muhammad Asif. I have observed small software house, so we can also relate agile here. I have observed small software house does not hire people project manager. They expect TLs should do the work of project manager. Do you think certified project managers are necessary, especially talking about when we talk about in software houses?
Okay.
Now
So
is the time of software houses. We are having so many software houses, so this can relate to a lot.
it's okay. It's okay. Hasib, the point is you have actually asked two questions. The first question is a technical lead as a project manager. The point is, when organization is small, they don't have budget to hire a project manager, so they can ask their technical lead to perform two jobs. And I see no obligation or objection into it. A technical lead can perform two jobs. A technical lead can be a technical lead and a project manager. The only thing is that when a technical lead is performing the technical job, he should wear or she should wear a technical hat. Or when he or she is doing the project management work, then they should wear a project management job. You see, when I go to my office, so I'm a trainer, I'm a consultant, I'm a CEO. So you can talk to my employees, and they say that when I go to office, I say, hello, today I'm a CEO. So I announce it publicly to my to my employees that today or next 3 hours, don't expect me in terms of product, don't expect me in terms of anything else. Today I'm playing the role of a CEO, and I do damn CEO role. And then let's suppose if we are developing a product, let's suppose we started developing our online training, PMP training, and programming training for online version. So now I need to focus on product development. I need to be a more technical person. I need to be more business oriented person. So at that time I cannot be a CEO. I should be a technical and product oriented person, because as a company, I have 2 3 roles. So if a technical lead is doing 2 3 roles, they need to understand that what is the role of a technical lead and what is the role of a project manager. The problem is not that technical lead is performing the project manager role. The problem is that technical lead is expected to do project management, and and he or she is still doing the technical lead job. So that is the problem. So if a company cannot bear the cost of separate project manager, or their finances are not that much, or their business size is not that much, it's pretty okay. Lots of time people think that we must have a separate project manager. No, it's not necessary. If your team is small, if your project is small, if your budgets are less, you can ask somebody or anybody to do 2 3 roles. But when you are performing multiple roles, you should be very very clear that what that role demands, and at what specific time in a project, which role you are performing. So if you are performing a technical lead role, be a technical leader. If you are performing a project manager role, be a project manager. And you must know that what project management means. It does not mean that you are wearing the hat of a project manager and doing the technical job. So that's the problem, right? So you need to see these things. So this is one thing. The second question I would say is, certified project managers are necessary. You see, there are 2 3 things. When you become a certified, it gives you credibility that as a certified manager, I'm not saying you can do or deliver. What I'm saying is, all the aspects of project management. So there will be less experiments, there will be less rework in terms of project management. So let's suppose right now we know that everybody is talking about entrepreneurship, everybody is talking about startup. In the whole world we have startup culture. But if you go back probably in 2010, or maybe 2005 2006, there were no, or maybe very one or two few universities who are offering you a bachelor's or master's in entrepreneurship. But we all had entrepreneurs since ages. But how these entrepreneurs became entrepreneurs? Because they were trying a lot of things, and they were juggling into multiple things, and they learned by doing it. But let's suppose when I started, as I said, if I have to redo or reboot my life, so I will go and I will do the entrepreneurship degree and will become an entrepreneur. So that's where I want to start. So this is how it works. So what I have done is, you see, when I'm doing training since 2001. I'm doing project management since 2004. I started my company, fully fledged company, in 2011. Since 2011 till 2015, I was in a mess. The money that I have all wiped out, because I was a good trainer and I was a bad entrepreneur. And in last 10 years, especially since 2011 till 2020 or now, I'm not learning mainly how to teach. What I'm learning is how to run the company. You see, and if I would have gone to any university or any course where I learn how entrepreneurship works end to end, then it would be good for me, right? So what happened is that we became entrepreneurs by having a technical expertise. People, software developer becomes project manager, become a technical guy, and they don't work the project management work, they don't work the CEO work, they don't work the entrepreneur work. So if you become a certified person, especially when you are going for a job, if you're going for international market, it actually gives you credibility that you have covered the concepts, knowledge, and you have been tested in a good way, so that whenever any problem, any situations comes to you, you're not going to find it and search it somewhere and do it and then redo it. You know how it works, and then you can do it. So that's what the value of a certification, that's what the value of an education.
Thank you, Asif, for asking that question, and thank you, sir, for giving a detailed answer. So, Asif, you need to understand that you have to, as a project manager or the technical lead, you have to wear different hats at different time, because different companies have different budget constraints and they have to move according to that. Plus, being you are a software engineer, as I can see from the your question, you also look into the Scrum approach, servant leadership. All the project managers are now working towards that thing, and that's how you progressed into these areas. So there are so many skills required to be innovative and a better project manager. But what are top three skills that are required for in project management in future, and how to develop those skills?
I believe there is only one thing required to be a innovative project
Okay.
manager, and that is that you build your question mind. When you start questioning a lot of things, and when you start questioning yourself, your processes, your projects, your results, your environment, your culture, you become innovative. Because how, why our kids are so innovative, because they are curious. So if we can bring back our childhood, if we can think like a child, if we can ask, and we become curious and don't accept the thing as it is, so we will become innovation. There are no big science or rocket science into it. And I see lots of people are talking about 2-day, 3-day, 5-day, 10-day course. These courses are not telling you to become innovative. They are basically giving you the tools to use towards innovative projects or innovative assignment. But if you want to become innovative, there's one thing: just be curious and ask as many questions as you can.
Ask as many as questions, and that is the key skills you need to know. You have to have a childish curiosity. So you are 100% right about curiosity. That day before, I was with my six year old niece, and she asked me more than 100 questions in just 1 hour. So I realized the curiosity, that the level of curiosity a child have, if we can even have 10% of that curiosity, we can improve our processes, we can improve ourselves, and we can improve our life. So coming back to this pandemic, what are your thoughts about the economy of an individual person? Because so many project managers that were working and project professionals that were working in Middle East, they are gonna come back. I am hearing that companies are firing them because there is no work, and this situation is gonna last till the end of this year minimum, if we don't have a second wave of this pandemic. So what are your thoughts? What an individual should do in this time to diversify this effect, or just to indulge out of this economic diversity?
You see, to be very honest, I have a very different thought. I believe that this pandemic is a blessings for project managers.
Mhm.
And if you play your cards right, uh, you will be very wealthy person. Because this economy or this pandemic actually requires organizations to do things in a different way. And this requires organizations to adopt new processes, and to implement digital transformation, or maybe to target their different customers, or launch new products, and or maybe develop something that can help them to reduce their time and cost, or change their culture. They change their resource payments, or salaries, or structure, or payment structures, or whatever it is. So in this environment, you can see they all are projects, right? Implementing digital transformation, changing the culture, implementing the payout. So as a project manager, I would say this is the time when you need to become project manager plus business analyst, or I would say project manager with design thinking mindset. Because these two will help you to see how you can help the organization to to reboot, to restart. So let's suppose if somebody comes to me and says that, Asad, you're running a training company, and I see that you previously say you were earning X million dollar per annum, and now due to corona or due to covid, your overall revenue is decreased. So if I can work with you and we develop a couple of projects, and that will help you to achieve the same amount, or maybe 10% less, or maybe 20% more, so I will be partner, and I will charge you that much amount, or I will charge you initial this fees, and then my actual fees is dependent on your results. So this is where the industry is going. And if you look at and you find out globally, you can say companies or big consulting firms are talking about restarting the economy, restarting the organization. So it's like that you are going with 100 miles on somewhere, and all of a sudden your car just got stuck. So you cannot stop your car, you cannot just get out of your car and leave your car there. You need somebody, some mechanic, who can comes to you and fix the things, and then you can continue your journey. So if we want to continue your journey as a project manager, we need to help someone's journey to move on. and to restart someone's journey, that cannot be done by waiting, that cannot be done by just waiting for finances, or just you, like, in my company, we have changed our target market. Okay, we have focused on, we have leave our two products and now focusing on two other products. So it means I have to develop new products, I have to focus on new market, I have to so these all are projects. So this is going to happen with all the organizations. So let's suppose a small retailer probably, or a Kiryana shop guy, they need to see that how they can utilize new trend, new technology, so that they can target the customer. And importantly, and that's I'm saying repeatedly again and again, that sometimes it's not necessary that your previous customer is going to be your customer. You need to change your customer also. So this needs to start from your strategy point of view, what you are going to be in next 5-10 years, who are your customers, what they can pay, what they cannot pay, and then what are their desires and their needs, and how you can model through it. And that modeling will lead you to reset your structure, reset your employees. And this whole resetting is Amer project. This is what project economy is, right? So as I said, this corona, this COVID is a blessings for project managers. If you see, if you find out that how you can restart someone's company or organization through your project, through your expertise, you can do it. But you will not be able to do it from triple constraint perspective. You will be doing through innovative outcome oriented perspective, and this has been in the market. Luckily we are already ready, luckily we already knew the solution. It's all that we need to implement it. So those who did not, like, in my business, we got stuck in March, but in April we trained more people than we ever trained in the half year, right? And right now in the month of June, we already achieved our quota for our training. So this is how you look into it. So it's not just that you focusing on one thing. You remember, Amer, I talked to you on the phone and we talked about your product and your skills, and I recommend you one thing, right? So point is that it's not about who are your competitors. It's all about, first of all, who are your customers and what are their pain points, and how you can run their journey with your skills. So if you can run their journey with your skills and help them to achieve what they were achieving previously and what they have in their thought, wow, you are done. So problem is, as a project manager, we think that we somebody will give us assignment and we will write down the scope and we will somebody ask to do the job and will become a watch guy. You do this, you do that, develop a plan and all done. This is not going to work. So if you are still with that mindset, sorry, you will be laid off.
So for all project managers, this is the thing. You have to understand this. What Asad have just said, that you have to be innovative. You have to look at a different approach, and you have to be optimistic, because this can be your way. This can be the time. If, just as he has said, that in just few days he has approached all the necessary tools. He has gained all the market, and in June we just have 12 days, and they have already achieved their target market. They've already earned that revenue. So this means that we are looking at a different point of view. We have to look at other end. We have to break our barriers. We have to break that wall so that we can earn more, because according to project economy, things are changing. We were going at 100 miles. Maybe after, with the mechanic, after with the proper project management tools and implementation strategy, we can move on 150, on 200, and we can carry on. So how PMP can be effective in this time? How much PMP can be effective now?
You see, if you talk about the PMP certification, so PMI, being a global leader in project management, they are investing a lot of money on promoting their brand, right? So let's suppose if I go to some company and say I have my own laptop and I want to sell it to you and it has great features, nobody wants to purchase it, and there are very few people who want to purchase it because they say lower the price and lot of expectation. But if I say that I am going to sell you HP laptop, if I'm or I'm going to say that I'm selling you Apple laptop, so there will be no question about the credibility of Apple. There is no question about the credibility of HP. They will talk about they can afford it or not, or what are the key features they need, and that's all. So if it's like this, so if you say I'm a project manager, and if you say I am a certified or a PMI certified project manager, so it gives a lot of weight to your personality and credibility. That's one thing about the project management. The other thing, Amir, which I through your platform and through your question, I'm gonna explain to all my, sorry, all your participants. The point here is, as I said, that project management has already crossed the pandemic. They already see their peak and everything. Right now, when you talk about the new era, when you talk about the new PMP exam, PMI has competitors. PMI has competitors like Prince 2. PMI has competitors like multiple universities who are offering degrees in project management. So PMI needs to stand out. And then all of a sudden, PMI got a big hit. I would say big hit by agile community, and companies like Scrum Alliance or others. They were giving a tough competition to Project Management Institute PMI. You see, at one hand, if you are in USA, you have to pay around $1,000 to $2,000 for just for training. Then you go for the exam, which is $500, $555. So $2,500 roughly, or $1,500 roughly, you want to become a PMP certified. On the other hand, if you want to become a Scrum Master, or if you want to become a product owner, you need to pay only $1,200, and second day you are certified. Initially, there was no paper. So those who were claiming that they become certified Scrum Master or product owner, actually they did not give any paper. They just attended a 2 days course. So if I go and sleep in a class, and at the end of the day I have a certificate that I became a certified Scrum Master, what does this mean? Until now, back in 2009, there was a case on them, and they said, okay, we will conduct a test. So now the test is that you sit in your home and open your all the books, and then you give the exam, and you become a Scrum Master. And there are a lot of companies who are saying that after second day you go give that test in front of us, and we'll make sure that you become so still the credibility has a more value. So now you see PMI, what PMI does it, PMI, instead of fighting with Scrum Alliance or agile people, although initially their strategy, as I said, initially their strategy was to fight with agile community with their different certification, and their different certification was PMI Agile Certified Practitioner. So PMI says we have one leading certification, that is PMP, but all those who want to go for Agile, they should not go to Agile for Scrum Master, Product Owner. They can come up with PMI ACP certification. But what happened is that PMI ACP as a business, PMI ACP as a PMI product failed to compete with Scrum. So now what PMI should do? You see, it's not about knowledge, it's not about certification body, it's about business. So what they did is they come up with a very smart idea, and they says that okay, now on our PMP or our project manager knows both of the worlds. Our project manager is a project manager, and that project manager can manage the predictive project as well as the adaptive project. And from 2000, January 2nd, 2021, project managers will be giving the paper where they will have questions from agile also. So now PMP is no more predictive project management. So PMP is a project manager. Doesn't matter if your project needs adaptive life cycle or a predictive life cycle or a hybrid life cycle. So in my opinion, PMI is investing a lot of money, and they have brought in the brightest mind and the marketing mind and the psychological minds, or the biological minds. And I'm saying for some reason, those who are helping companies like Unilever, like Procter and Gamble to build their brand. So these minds are behind PMI. So now PMI is focusing solely on making their global brand, being on top and remaining on top. And they are, and to being on top and remaining on top needs lot of politics, needs lot of good products, needs lot of branding things. So they are doing all these things. So if you become a PMP certified project manager, PMI is going to make sure that your value is there, and now you have to make sure that you are living up to the standard of PMI. So those who are thinking that PMP is the value of past, or PMP is not going to give value in future, or Scrum Master is growing, or so they all will there. So I used to say go for PMP, and if your organization says they need Scrum Master, say give me 2 days and I will be Scrum Master. So that's not a big deal. Lots of people used to ask me, Sir, do I need to go for Scrum Master or a product owner? I say, if your company specifically asks you, if the company from which you are, in which you are doing job, they need this certification, then go for it. If they are not asking you for the certification, then just learn the knowledge and or get any training certificate probably from Udemy or somewhere else, which gives you a $10, $20, whatever, right? So like what I have done is I have basically offered to all my project management students that if you are going to attend PMP course with me, I'm going to give you design thinking with agile project management course free of cost. So you are a
Okay.
project manager. You are a
Okay.
project manager. It's not about PMP project manager or agile project manager. Project manager is a project manager. Either a project is agile or traditional. You have to manage it.
You have to manage it. And I saw your video on the life cycle. It also explained the same thing,
Yeah.
that all the project manager, it does not matter that if you are in the construction industry or if you are an IT person, you need to know predictive environment and you need to know agile environment, and you have to be a hybrid project manager, if I would say. Being said that, who should do program management? They have the other certificate and you're also teaching program management, and it is even the research says that you need at least 10,000 of experience and preparation, and it is even more difficult than PMP. So who should do program management?
You see, first of all, initially, program managers was responsible to lead the outcome, and the difference between project and project program was that project manager is only delivering the output or deliverable, and program manager is focusing on outcome. So that was the major difference. Those who talk about that you are managing multiple projects as a program manager is a fad. It's not the reality. If you are managing multiple projects, does not make you a program manager. And this is the dilemma that I have seen in multinational organization when I go to US, UK, and Dubai and places, and in some multinational companies in Pakistan. When I talk about program management, they have a very different concept of program management. Generally people thinks that, and they go with the English definition of program management, where it says that program means managing multiple projects. Sorry, program does not mean managing multiple projects. Program means that you are responsible for outcome. So this is one thing. So this concept of program is now translating into project also. So they are basically making things into this thing. But if you look at the bigger picture, and if you see why program manager is important, so program management means you are doing transformation. Companies who are doing digital transformations, companies who are doing mega projects, companies or countries who are dealing with corona or covid, or organizations who want to go for merger and acquisition, who wants to talk about change management, they should talk about the program management, because program management asks you to see multiple projects, but it's not about managing multiple projects. It's about how you are coordinating all these projects to achieve the benefits. So you as a project manager, or sorry, you as a program manager is technically a temporary CEO. So you this I would say, if you want to become a CEO, project manager, program manager, or CEO. So project manager, temporary program manager, as a temporary CEO, as a program manager, and a CEO. This is your fastest path to become a CEO. So program manager is someone who takes the responsibility to transform anything. So either it's a business, either it's a department, either it's a product. So let's suppose when we talk about a startup, I talked to a couple of startup agencies here, and I said, you are giving them all the training, but you are not telling them that running or starting a startup is a program. So if you don't know how to run the startup, you will build a product, but you will not be able to sell it. So this is one of the key point here is, so let's suppose a company says, I want to start a new department, I want to launch a new product. So launching a new product, setting up a new department, going for a digital transformation, merging some organization, they all are programs. And I would say that those who are already PMP, they should go for program management, because when you go and compete in the world, there are 1 million PMPs, but there are only 3,000 program managers. But you just don't say I'm a program manager. You say I am a transformation program manager. My expertise is I can transform your business, your department, your product, your startup, and I can run it through a program. And my responsibility is to deliver you the benefits incrementally, and I will not transition you the product. I will transition you the results which is valuable to you. So you will not get at the end of the day the product, you will get at the end of the day sales. So it's how the whole thing works. So I would say, in fact, it will new era, in the coming era, the line between project and program will blur. because project manager in some cases are also going to be responsible for outcomes, and program managers are. So now you have to come, and now we will be developing some explicit criteria in terms of time, in terms of cost, in terms of number of projects, so that we can say that, okay, if these are the criteria, you should follow the program. As I gave you a couple of straight criteria in terms of a digital transformation is not a project. Even if you want to manage it, you will fail, because your mindset is not. It's very simple. You cannot drive the truck with the car mentality. Car also have gears and everything like the truck has. But the point is, the way you drive the truck is not the way you drive the car. So you need to learn this art.
You need to learn this art, and if you want to go to up in the career and to become an elite professional, you have to do program management. Last two questions, and they are
Go ahead.
related to
Go ahead.
communication.
As many questions as you want. No worries.
How crucial communication skills play role in general, and what do you say about listening? How much listening is important for the professionals?
Okay, so see, it's an old saying that 85% of the project manager time is in communication. So there is
Okay.
no further need to talk about that how important communication is. But I say that when you talk about communication, you should also focus on stakeholders, because you are going to communicate with stakeholders. The problem with previous mindset is we focused so much on communication and communication topics and communication styles, but we forgot about the person whom we are going to communicate. So I would say that if you want to focus on communication, you should focus on the stakeholders and their preferences and their culture, that how these are working. If you look at the researches that is being done right now in project management, it's not about how to estimate project and how to do things. It's all about that, how you are going to communicate with stakeholders, how you are going to deal the difficult stakeholders, how you are going to lead in a different culture, how you are going to lead with different customers, how you are going to lead with virtual team, how you are going to lead with virtual end users. So in this area, communication is there, communication was there, communication will be there, but the point is to whom you are going to communicate. So when you talk about communication, you need to talk about the stakeholders whom you are going to communicate. So if you are talking about 85% of communication, so it means I would say out of 80 of that, 85 is mostly about understanding and learning the stakeholders. This is one thing. The second question that you asked about the listening, you see, when you talk about communication, there are two types of communication: verbal communication and non-verbal communication. And I believe, and the research says that 55% of communication is non-verbal. So verbal communication is very less. So it also says that you are listening more and saying less. So that's one of the things. Second thing is, as we are talking about innovative project management and outcome oriented stuff, the key thing here is that you need to listen, and not just listen, you need to listen with your eyes also. And this is the key thing. As a project manager, if you want to communicate, you should focus on stakeholders, focus on verbal communication, and listen with your eyes. So that will help you to become a good communicator.
So listen with your eyes and to become a better communicator. One of your student is Siraj is asking, I remember once you told our class that the value of PMP, that it takes year of struggle for an engineer to become a project manager, but a PMP can easily manage a project with the help of a team of engineers. So can you put some light on that?
I think I'm still stand up with this point. My point is still that generally companies have trust issues. They think that engineers are good in doing technical things, and they want lots of people who have social skills, emotional intelligence skills, these kind of skills. So let's suppose if we look at our country, although it's going to be a bit political, but somehow we are seeing that in a government institutions we are not hiring civil leaders. We are not hiring civil CEOs. We are hiring, defense people as CEOs, either as CEO of Fauji Foundation or PIA and all. And we all are criticizing it. I would say don't criticize it. And don't see that they are expert of airlines, they are expert of Fauji Foundation, they are expert of steel mill. When you become a CEO, when you become a project manager, it's not about your technical skills. It's all about your managerial skills. It's all about your political skills. It's all about your social skills. So when you promote someone, and this is the dilemma, we generally promote people based on their technical knowledge. This is not the game. When you say you want to become a project manager, you have to leave your technical knowledge. You have to become a project manager. You have to see things. When I ask people that what are your top 2 3 skills as a project manager, people come up with communication, people come with integration, scope, and then I ask, what about political skills? And they say, oh, political, no, I'm not political. And I say, this is your problem. Political is not bad. Politics is not bad. You see, if politics is bad, then Punjab University or Karachi University or Oxford University or MIT or Stanford is not going to give you master or bachelor's in political science. So it means politics is not bad. It's how you do it, right? How you use it. So as a project manager, you need to learn the art of politics. You need to learn the art of cultural shift. You need to learn how to break the system and build a system, right? So if you're not breaking the system and building the system, you're not doing it. So let's go right now. We all love our Prime Minister Imran Khan. He's so charismatic, so handsome, but the problem is he is unable to break the system and create the system. So much so that you are sitting on the top chair and you are saying that we have reduced the oil prices, and then you are saying that mafia is there. So it means you are failed. You are unable to run it like a program manager. You are good in developing the product, but you are very bad at the same time in converting that output into outcome. So if you cannot convert your outcome into outcome, sorry sir, you are not right. You are incompetent person. That's the simple answer. So this is the living example for us. If we take that macro example into micro example and change our perspective of project management, we can do it.
We can do it. Thank you, sir. It has been a blessing for me. The session was very interactive and you were very generous with your time. Initially, we agreed 30 minutes, but we have reached almost a 1 hour. It was amazing session and the audience loved it. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So all of
Thank you.
people who wants to do PMP and program management, contact AUC. It's a great company. You can learn a lot. And as sir said, that they are gonna give you a free many things free of cost when you go for PMP with them, and they have a very high success rate. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you a
Thank
lot
you
for
for having
joining.
me here. Thank you, Amir.
Okay. Allah Hafiz.